I'm Dr. Dan, talking to you from Vitamin Pro. And we want to talk a little bit about the safety of supplements, and this is in response to a study that came out in Oncology November 2011 about vitamin E and prostate cancer, and implying that vitamin E would actually increase the rate of that. So we want to discuss that a little bit, but first a little bit of background. It's important to know that the supplement industry has a remarkable track record over the last 100 years. Basically, it's the safest industry, or one of the safest industries, in modern times. If a couple of people die of something like vitamin C, or let's say the tryptophan problem back in the 80s, it gets yanked off the shelves right away. So if this weren't, now that doesn't happen with pharmaceuticals, of course. It takes years and years of people dying. In fact, properly prescribed medications kill at least 100,000 people in the United States every year. And that's a properly prescribed stuff, and so we're not, basically supplements can't compete with that kind of record. They just don't kill people like that. So, but it's also important to realize that supplements come in two categories. There are those supplements designed to improve your health, and then there are the supplements designed to manipulate your body in some way in order to achieve some goal, such as building muscle or some temporary athletic performance increase, that sort of thing. So let's realize there are two different categories. And when I talk about supplementation, we're talking about the first category where people are using these in order to feel better and to improve their own physiology. So the reason that supplements tend to be very safe is that, properly used, they're going to improve your physiology. They're not going to force a physiological reaction that you're going to have to pay for later. And that's why they've been incredibly successful over the last many decades. So, but let's talk about this study in oncology. The first thing to note is that they weren't using real vitamin E. They were using the petrochemical derived version of vitamin E, which we call synthetic, and that's in what's called the DL form, not the D form. The D form is what you find in nature. If you extract vitamin E out of wheat germ or out of soy or something, what you're going to get is the D form. Now that's not what they use. They use the DL form, or the synthetic. Now people in natural healthcare have known for many, many years that the DL form is toxic. So this study really was not about vitamin E. It was about the effect of a toxic petrochemically derived substance that resembles vitamin E. And so that's the first thing. And the second, you have to understand that studies on their own really don't say anything. One study does not prove anything. So in biology, in medicine, we learn from many, many studies over tens of years, to find out exactly what is the truth here. And so taking one study and making a jump like these people did, they say, the conclusion that the authors came up with after this one ridiculously done study was that, we can't assume that supplements are safe. Well, we can assume that natural ones are, but we can't assume that these, say, petrochemically derived ones are. So that's another part. Also, you should know that this data that was reported was massaged vigorously by the researchers in order to get a certain result out of this. So it's not like there was this amazing data that just that just showed up that showed that, oh my gosh, vitamin E is really dangerous. It wasn't like that at all. So they just massage this data in every way they can think of in order to make vitamin E look like the villain. Another thing is that when we talk about prostate cancer, what are we talking about? Because recently different groups have decided that even doing this blood test for the PSA antigen, or the prostate-specific antigen, is not really a valid test. The only way you can tell what's going on with a person in line of prostate cancer is repeated biopsies, and that's of course not the way these studies are done. So when you see studies like this and stuff pop up in the news, just realize that there's an industry out there that wants you to be sick, and the pharmaceutical industry doesn't make any money if you're healthy. And if you're finding a way to improve your health with supplements, that's not going to fly. So a lot of big money gets thrown at these kinds of studies in order to, and of course they don't do it properly. So just keep in mind that the supplement industry is incredibly safe. There's thousands of studies published every year in very reputable journals, peer-reviewed, that show the effectiveness of supplementation. So keep that in mind when you read these articles in the popular media. So anyway, I'm Dr. Dan, and you can read more about this on O-Vitamin Pro, and we're happy to give you this information. Thanks for listening.